good stewards. All right, so stewardship is a biblical principle, which means we invest well in our lives. When you're young, when you're old, when you're middle-aged, every time, so that we can use what God has given us wisely for His glory and His purpose, which means that you may strive to be a doctor or a lawyer or someone who makes money upon money, so that for the very purpose of giving it away and planting churches and giving it away and sponsoring missionaries and giving it away to support your local church and giving it away to people in need, supporting ministries. That may be a goal of your life. There are people who have the spiritual gift of giving. And I mean, it's a beautiful thing. They feel closer to God as they give away the things God has blessed them with. And here's what I want you to see about that. God is the treasurer, right? Money is just the means to get closer to the treasure, God. In the same way that for a preacher, preaching is the means to get closer to God. And whatever your gifts are, those are the means to the treasure. And how you use them is going to tell the world what your treasure is. If you spend the majority of your day in a specific sport, or playing a specific video game, or doing specific things, then guess what? That tells the world what your treasure is. It says, my life is about this. This is where I invest my time. This is where I invest my money. This is where I invest my efforts.
I have a question. Okay,
what you got?
You're talking about stuff that we do. You have to do everything glorifying God.
Sure.
So even if you're playing a video game, you need to be you need to thinking about it, or I don't get that.
Okay.
Well,
can
for
you
me,
play video games? This is a good question.
Well,
can you play video games to the glory of God?
That really varies. It varies on certain levels. Well, for me, I have my equipment right here, and this stuff helps me do stuff because I would never give my stuff up for nothing. Because this stuff helps me out with my career and helps me with what I want to do in my life. If I give up everything I worked for nearly 17 years of my life, I'm nothing completely. I mean, nothing. In Biblian. How that would help with me. Because I work very hard on my stuff. With my YouTube channel, I want to be successful with doing this. I don't want to quit.
That's not the question I'm asking. All right? My question is, can you play video games to the glory of God?
But that varies.
Let someone else talk for just a little bit. Right? I asked this question a while ago to the girls, and I flipped it on them. And the question I asked the girls was, can you wear makeup to the glory of God? Do you all remember this conversation? We did this at with the seniors too. They were so mad. Because they couldn't come up with a reason. I think there's a very biblical reason for wearing makeup to the glory of God. But I want you guys to think about it.
It tells them to dress modest.
You can do it. There is a way you can do it. You just have to be very creative about it.
With what?
Playing video games to the glory of God.
Okay, how do we do it?
I haven't put enough thought into it to figure out a way, but
I know.
I can just make up and say I'm paint.
There are definitely some things. Remember we talked about the closets? This is one of those things. I'm not going to go through all that with them, but this is a good conversation anyway.
Isn't there when you play video games?
Go ahead.
Well, when you're playing, there's certain competition, stuff like that, you can win money.
How many people win money playing video games?
Nobody wins money playing
professional games.
I mean, I know there are some. I know there are some, but how many people make a living?
Markiplier, PewDiePie, Jack Spicer. Jacksepticeye.
In comparison to professional athletes. How many professional athletes are there in the world? There's a ton of professional athletes, right? Are there that many people that, because I don't know a thing about video games. Let's say there's the same amount.
There's a video game.
Let's say there's the same amount of professional video game players to professional athletes. What are your chances that you're going to be a professional video game player? They're
50-50
in comparison to 50-50 stuff.
Small as me getting on the NBA.
Sure, I'm not saying working for video game. I'm not saying that can't even be a field of study. I'm saying how do you do it to the glory of God? If he was using money
Well, I mean,
as the means to, and I think if your career,
Like,
sure, yeah, you can put your winnings towards, and I think if you ended up being that talented in video games, and let's say you win $1 million playing video games, and you want to give that money to people, I think that's one way you can do it to the glory of God. I mean something that's more applicable for everybody. Yeah, something that's more generally like how do I go and sit and play a video game and feel okay about it? What do you got?
Well, you can talk to people.
Yeah,
Okay.
Try to talk to them a little bit.
Yeah.
don't get
Hopefully
connected.
that you can try.
And we're gonna use FECs.
Okay.
Don't get too connected with your
A lot of people on YouTube get paid at 10,000 subscribers.
I'll give an example.
What do you got?
Back whenever, I remember back in 6th grade, that's all I would do is play video games, and I didn't want to go to church at all. And so that's where it can become a problem.
Alright.
You're not glorifying God with that. It becomes more of a, focus and lifestyle. Playing video games. That can be,
We know video games can be an idol. I mean, they sure can.
I mean, that's
They're on
We
my
can
life
use it-
too.
we can use
the whole
it as
summer. I mean, that's
an
what I
idol.
do every day.
Okay, well, let's do this. Okay. If you were to replace the time you spend playing video games with Bible study and prayer, let's make it super spiritual. Bible study and prayer instead of video games.
That's going to be kind of difficult for my end.
I'm not done. When you turn 18, would you be better off for having spent time in Bible study and prayer or playing video games?
Playing video games.
Bible study.
Okay. Now, I agree with your answer. I think that's true. I think we would be better off if we spent the rest of the summer reading scripture. And how reasonable is it that you're going to do that? How reasonable is it that you're going to do that? How often does your brain break? Pretty regularly. All right. Video games may offer that for some of you guys. For me, it was playing sports. It was going outside and shooting hoops. Because there's no way I could get in a book and I couldn't read scripture and study it and comprehend it and enjoy it for that long. So I think there's a right way to use video games and to use leisure time as a way to reset and as a way to just relax and not think for a little bit and engage, talk with people, build relationships. Some of you may make a career out of technology and video games and doing a lot of things in that field. It may be a way to earn an income one day. Those are all reasonable things that can be done to the glory of God. You can use a video game, spend an hour in the afternoons to reset your mind. Maybe you've worked hard that day and you just need to chill for a little bit. So you go home, you play some games, then you shut it off and you be back about the business of the day. You go back to growing in your relationship with others and God and things like that. I think there are ways, we got to be careful not to just make all of these rules and say, I have to do this, and I have to do this, and I have to do this. There are ways to use physical blessings in a God-glorifying way. God may use some of the relationships that you guys have through playing video games, through playing sports, to be an avenue for the gospel. I mean, that's reasonable, right? And especially those of you who play live, you may meet someone and I don't know that while you're in the middle of the game is the right time to go, let me tell you about Jesus. But you may meet up with them talking about things like that and then catch them on Facebook and start a conversation with them, talk to them about those kind of things.
I've had some
Well, arguing and sharing the gospel are two different things.
I tried to, and then he was like, we started going back and forth when he was we're not good
Like, they don't understand.
However, there are games, guys, there are games you should never play. Because there are biblical principles that you should abide by. Alright? So use wisdom there. Alright? I'm sure, I don't know any of these things.
I'll play Half-Life 2.
The gaming system I had was a Super Nintendo in the 90s. Alright? So, I don't know any of these things, but I do know that if it has an M on it, there is a chance there that there could be nudity. That's something you don't need to expose yourself to. There could be terrible language.
What if we just
That's
shut it
something you
off?
have to guard yourself from. Maybe that's an avenue. I think you're dabbling in it where Paul says make no allowances for the flesh, which means he says, hey, you put boundaries in your life so that you don't fall into sin and temptation, so that you don't, so that bad language is not part of your everyday talk, so that when you're at a Bible study in the morning before you go, maybe.
Now you done it!
Bam! That's the 1, grand 0. Okay. Maybe that would be one of the things. But there are things that you don't if the Bible prohibits it, you can't do it to the glory of God because it's prohibited in the Bible. Now, does the Bible prohibit video games? No. No, it doesn't, because they did not have them. All right? But we have a lot of principles in Scripture that talk about those type of things, entertainment type things. Does the Bible prohibit going to the movies? No. Does the Bible prohibit going to the movies and watching something that is against biblical principles? Absolutely. Absolutely. So you guard those things. The closets, man, we should do that in here. It'd be great. I think that lesson that we taught, I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that.
That was a really.
That may be how I start off the next semester. Just going through the closets. That was fantastic. How do you make? It's how you make spiritual decisions. Okay, how do I determine what's right and what's wrong, what's okay and what's not okay? Because you guys have to make decisions that even I didn't have to make. I mean, really.
And it goes in the shelves too.
Yeah, there's shelves in each closet. You have your what is it? I don't remember either. They were awesome. They were really cool. And it gives you kind of a strategy for making wise decisions in your life. We're going to do that. We're going to do that. We're probably going to start the school year off with that.
We were talking about the movies, like how you decide.
You do need to do acts, yeah.
Movies,
We can just do it when we get back from school.
stuff like
We
that.
might be able to, but then we won't be able to finish this series.
You hate video series.
I do hate video series. I really do. And we
It's
haven't
already
done
7:44.
anything in this video series today. We've talked about video games for the last 10 minutes.
Yeah.
But I think we have a good principle from that, though. That as Christians, we are to do all to the glory of God. Whatever we are to do, whether it's being generous or whether it's making daily decisions, we are to do it to the glory of God. Which means this: the first question we ask in every circumstance is, how is this going to affect my relationship with God and with God's people, with others, right? How is this going to affect my relationship vertically with God? I think first, that's the first question. And then secondly, how is this going to affect my relationship with the church and with those outside of church? All right, so those are the questions that we ask. And there may be an avenue for things in your life that may seem like they're not very spiritual, but they may serve a very spiritual purpose. All right? So don't just throw things out with that. But the principle that we were supposed to talk about today was that we are to be generous. All right? So we're to be willing to give things away. The verses that you have, we're not going to have time to read them. They're the verses at the end of Acts chapter 2 where the church has just had this huge revival and 5,000 are added to the church. All right, it's the day of Pentecost. And then right after that, it says that they just brought all of their stuff in, all of their excess stuff. They weren't giving everything away. They were giving everything extra that they had. They gave it. They handed it over to the church, and the church was feeding the needy and the poor, and it was just attracting people to the church because they didn't care for the stuff of this life anymore. They cared about God, and they were like, if I have it and someone else needs it, it's yours. You can have it. It's fine. But that was so countercultural. They didn't even know these people. What would it look like if a church caught on fire and said, you know what? Whatever extra I have, I want to be a blessing to my community. And just brought all of our excess money, not the money we're living on daily, but all of our excess money.
Extra money that
put our
isn't
lives
used.
down simply and brought that and then just started blessing people in the community. People that really needed help. What would that look like? I mean, do you think that would have an impact on the community? Do you think people would be going, what's wrong with them? Who does that? And don't you think that they would ask questions like, why are you guys giving away all your stuff? And then what would be our answer? I haven't given away anything.
I would just say
Let me
just
tell you about
because.
the greatest treasure that I have. Let me tell you about the reason where I don't care about this stuff anymore, and it's Jesus. Do you think that would make an impact on Magnolia? I mean,
That's going to be a hard question.
Some people would say, no, they're just nuts. I'm not going to that church because I'm not giving all my stuff away. But others would be like, that's different. I've never seen that kind of love before. I mean, not everybody came to join the church there in Jerusalem, but many did. Why? Because they had a greater treasure. Christ was their greater treasure. I think that's pretty powerful. Pretty powerful. Girls are still going. All right, we'll do a couple more thoughts. Oh, I like this one. What's the difference between being an owner and a steward? He asked that question in the video. What's it mean to be a steward?
Let's see. Owner is the one who owns the stuff, and steward that gives it away.
No, stewards, they take care of them. They're a shopkeeper.
Do what?
They're a steward.
A steward's more of a manager.
Yeah, a steward is someone who takes care of someone else's possessions. They steward someone else's stuff. So if we look at ourselves as stewards, as Christians, everything we have belongs to who? God.
God, and we're the stewards.
So if we look at ourselves as the owner, then that means everything I have belongs to me and I can do with it what I want. But if we look at ourselves as stewards, then that means everything belongs to God and I want to do the best with His resources. My time, my treasures, and my talents. They all belong to Him, so I want to manage them well. There's a difference in the way we spend our money and the way we spend someone else's money, right? Especially if we know somebody's watching. If it's ours, we kind of feel like we can do with it what we want. And if I want to go buy a ribeye steak, that's my money. I can buy me a ribeye steak. But if I've got the church's debit card, I'm not going to buy a ribeye steak. Why? Because I can't justify that. So yeah, we'll meet in here in just a couple minutes.
Unless you buy all the church.
So, do what?
Unless you buy the church.
No, that'd be terrible.
Yeah,
Just think how much money that is spent.
I'm going to be careful because I want to guard God's money better. And it's the same thing that we do. We guard God's money and we steward God's money instead of being owners of what God has given us. All right, so that's a good principle. All right, so how can we implement this? How can we be a generation that shows generosity? What's it going to look like? I think we can do those things, and it could still be like legalism, right? Like I could give away a bunch of stuff and be like, see how good I am? See how good I am for giving away all my stuff? I mean, I think that's possible, right? We can be Pharisees. Hypocrites.
Look what I did.
Yeah, I mean, it could be that. So it's more than just giving away. I think that's part of it. But I think it's the spirit in which we do that.
It's someone's friend that you don't know. Just walking up to a stranger trying to be, just making sure being generous.
Yeah.
Like if someone's depressed and you're trying to help them out.
Yeah, that's right.
I have a question. Is it still wrong though? Like, 'cause if you're giving away all your stuff, you're expecting you're expecting heaven, you're expecting golden street, you're expecting something in return for the next life. So
Man, oh, what a great conversation we could go to from there. There's a book. I wouldn't recommend it.
Oh crap!
And what I mean by that is it would be tough. It would probably be a tough read. It's a college level tough book, but it's Desiring God. It's the name of this book. Did you? Yeah. Anyway, Desiring God is the name of the book, and it talks about that. It's a principle of Christian hedonism, which means that all things we do, even ultimately, do fulfill our greatest desire. And that is to love God. So when we give our stuff away, we feel good about it because we've served God. But then we're like, wait, should I feel good about sacrificing? You know, kind of what you're saying. You know, if we ultimately expect heaven, then are we really sacrificing anything? And the answer is no. We're really not sacrificing. But that's okay. That's okay for our treasure to be God. If our treasure is God, it's not about not having a treasure. It's about having the right treasure. If God and heaven and eternity are our treasure, that is the right place to set our affections.
So it's where your riches come
That,
from.
yes, yes. It's where our riches come from. It's where we place value. All right? If we place value on the things of this earth, the things that the Bible says where moth come in and moth and rust come in and eat them up and devour it away, then our treasures are
Worthless.
They're worthless. But if our treasures are in eternity, if our treasures are God, then they're the right treasures. It's not that we value too much. It's not that we have too great of treasures. It's that our treasures aren't great enough. You know what I mean by that? So you don't look at, well, I really love money, and go, oh, you love too much. You love money too much. No, it's that you don't love enough. Because money is a lesser God.
It's greed.
It's a lesser God. The ultimate love, the best way to love is to set your affections on God, to desire God. Great book. What a great conversation we can have from here. But it's about setting your affections on the ultimate treasure, not anything worldly. So being willing to give away these worldly things that are secondary, or using these worldly things.
This world thing is the only place I
It doesn't always
have.
mean giving everything away. It just means using it to the glory of God. Using it for that ultimate treasure, that greater treasure. Sometimes that means, yeah, whatever I have, you can have. Sometimes it means I'm going to use what I have to help more people. Which means I'm going to take my money now and I'm going to invest it so that as it grows, I can bless more people. And so I can make sure that my family has the opportunity to serve and love God the best way possible. I'm going to use it to support missionaries on the field. I'm going to use it to sponsor kids who have no food, things like that. Those are all great principles. All right, let's go back over. We're done. Yes. All right, guys. Hey, we're going to have our SOAR parent meeting now. So all of you who are going to SOAR, feel free to stay. And take a 5-minute break. You can go TT. Go TT. What? Excited? Basketball. Oh, you're not playing. So I was like, did you try out? Desiring God. It's 27 years old. 2011. It's probably 31 years old.
You said about, I like to read something about, like, I like what I have down here because I have another side.
We have to know this. You need to there's some more back there. Yes, you put them both on one, it'll be fine. Yeah. If you have more than one of your children going, you can just fill out once. Put both names and both insurance numbers. If they should be the same, right? Wouldn't that be right? Insurance number be different. The last little thing. Yeah. Right. That's what I'm doing for policies or something. Yeah, that's for you. No. Guardian signing. I had to bring it back to me sometimes. Hey, you go ahead and get started. I'll talk while you guys are filling that out. We'll be quick this evening. This year for SOAR, July the 5th through the 7th, just 3 days. So usually when we get back from choir tour, those who have already been on choir tour, a 3-day trip is plenty. Also it cuts down on expenses, having to stay another night and things like that, so we're trying to do that this year. 5th through the 7th, so it's 2 nights at the Gaylord Texan is where we're going to be this year in Grapevine, Texas. You've got your contact numbers on there. There's me and Angela's number on there. I also meant to put David Lindsay's number. Oh, his is on the 3rd page, David Lindsay's cell phone number. He's our bus driver, so he's going to be on the big bus that we'll be taking to go to the conference. The schedule looks like this. We're going to leave Wednesday, July the 25th. We're going to leave at 10 o'clock in the morning. All right, so we don't have a real early departure or anything like that, which means that we'll need to start loading the bus about 9:30, 9:45. Want everyone here by 9:45 so the bus can be loaded, we can pray, and then get on the road. At 10 o'clock, we'll head out. We'll stop and eat lunch around Texarkana, maybe just on the other side of Texarkana. And then we'll go on into Dallas, try to get there by 4. I try to give us plenty of time to travel, unload the bus, unload our stuff and all of that. But we can't check into the hotel till 4 o'clock, but we have to check in before 7. So that gives us a little bit of leeway there. We'll eat our first meal, we'll eat there on the way. Then we'll eat that evening at the Global Village. The SOAR conference has a place where the students can eat. I would plan on about $10 a meal for each of their meals throughout the week. The ones that they eat there at the Global Village will definitely be around $10. There will not be a way to do it much cheaper than that because they're eating at a 5-star hotel. All right? Now, it's a very simple menu. It's going to be chicken strips or a burger or something like that. It's a very, very simple menu that they do for the conferences, but that'll be the case for several of our meals. We'll eat there in the Global Village. Our first session begins that evening. There's a concert that night, and then we've got curfew enforced. We have a hotel-enforced curfew. They have security on each floor of the curfew, of the hotel at curfew. So no one can be out once curfew is established for any reason. If you want to know, my wife has gotten in trouble for being out past curfew even though she was 25 years old. Granted, they thought she was 16, but that was a long time ago. But she was out after curfew, and one of the guys got on and said, "You kids need to get in your room right now." And she said, "I'm 25 years old." She was not happy about that, but doesn't sound like a problem to me. Anyway, so it is enforced. They are very strict with that at this conference because there will be somewhere between 2,000 and 2,500 junior high and high school kids at a 5-star hotel. There will be other guests at the hotel because the Gaylord is a very large hotel. There will probably be another conference or two, usually real small ones, going on at the same time. They cannot be out past curfew. They also cannot be any shenanigans throughout the day. All right? So during downtimes, things like that, no running up and down the halls, none of that kind of stuff. We have to be very professional in the way we go about this. So when curfew comes, it's time to be in our rooms, our specific rooms. Eat breakfast at the hotel. They've got a little place there where you can eat breakfast there at the Gaylord. It's just muffins and things like that. It's really simple. It's not free. So plan on meals for that as well. Lunch, we'll do lunch on Thursday. We'll do it at the Grapevine Mall. We'll go over there for a little bit, let them eat there at the food court, shop around just a little bit. Then we'll come back to the hotel where they have free access to the water park that afternoon. The Gaylord has a water park on location. The students will have access to the water park that afternoon. There's also some breakout sessions at 2:30 and 3:30. So if any of the kids find, and they'll promote those a little bit about what they're about, but it's different student pastors leading. If you're interested in anything specific that the breakout sessions are about, you can be at those breakout sessions. If not, we'll have a group at the water park. All right, and we'll go over attire for water park in just a moment. All right, so that's our schedule for that afternoon. We'll gather back up. We'll eat dinner back at the SOAR Village or the Global Village about 6 o'clock, and then we'll head to our evening session on Thursday, and then the last session is Friday. We'll get up and eat breakfast at the hotel, muffins and Starbucks and things like that. Then we'll have our last session. We'll dismiss the conference at 11 and start heading back. We should be back in Magnolia around 5 o'clock. So it's a very simple schedule. It's a very packed schedule, SOAR always is. Really, the only free time that we'll have will be that one afternoon where we go over to the mall and then come back to the water park. All right, so there's your schedule. There's some contact numbers on there. The theme for SOAR this year is selfless. We're going to be in Philippians chapter 1 and chapter 2. I'll be preaching all 4 of the sessions at SOAR, which I'm super excited about. To get to speak to 2,000 to 2,500 students is something I've never done before, not for 4 nights in a row. I've spoken at SOAR a couple times, but this is a big privilege, and I'm excited about it. Things that they need to bring: Bible, pen and paper if you want to take notes. We're not going to have any cell phones in the services. I know that some of you may want to take notes on your phone. Sorry, we're just not going to do it. All right? I want to keep all distractions out of that building. All right? So I know what it's like to be on your tablet taking notes and then a text message, ding! I mean, you got to click it, right? I mean, you have to see what your friend is eating for lunch back in Magnolia, because there's so many options, right? All right? So we're not going to do that. Bring an actual Bible. All right? That is your ticket on to the bus, so make sure that you have a Bible with you. Toiletries, deodorants, toothbrush, hygiene products, boys especially need these. These are important. Swimming gear, clothing for the week, things like that. I'm going to let Angela talk about that in just a second. Money for the week, I'd say $75 to $100. It's going to be sufficient for food. If you want to bring some extra money for the mall, that's on you. Bring what you like. Change clothes for each day. I don't want to see any boys wearing the same shirt for 3 days in a row, and I shouldn't have to say it, but I have to say it. All right, so there you go. Bring clothes for each day. One item of luggage, and a very small carry-on. And I say a very small carry-on for this reason. Right now, we are working on the 55-passenger bus. We're going to try to get it up and running. Right now, it doesn't have brakes. All right? They're fine. They were fine all on choir tour. Everything is super safe. All of that. We got back here, and they just won't air back up. All right? So, we're not going to take it if it's not 100%. All right? Right? Does it make sense? Everybody okay with us not taking it? So, if we don't take that bus, here's what it's going to look like. This is why I say small carry-ons. Because what it's going to look like is going to look like the 29, the 15, and we'll rent another couple 15s. We have got 54 going on the trip, just from our church. And then we've also got Antioch East is coming with our church. Cody's going to help me since I'm going to be very busy as a speaker, and I'm also going to be out of pocket during some of the downtime. Cody Woolley is going to come from Antioch East. Their group's going to come with us. He's going to help kind of facilitate our group along with all of our other sponsors. So what it'll look like is if we end up in 4 different vehicles, there's going to be very limited space. That big bus has got tons of space. You can bring all you want. The rental vans won't have that. All right, so we'll have room for everybody's luggage, but your carry-ons will need to be small so you can tuck them under your bag. All right, so no hockey bags and then another big
Like a
bag to go with it. All right, backpack's fine. Yeah, backpack's fine. Just small carry-ons. Rules, regulations. Obey your room sponsors. I'll have a meeting with all of the room sponsors. They'll be in charge. They'll know what I want them to do, what I want them to enforce. So if you're in a room, you obey your room sponsors. They're to do that. Any other sponsors on the trip as well. Cell phones, not during the sessions. Remain in groups of 3 or more at all times. At all times. This prevents so much. Nobody's off by themselves. No one gets lost. And guess what? You can't be in a couple. If you're with 3 people, you're not with your boyfriend or your girlfriend. So this is just a great rule for everybody, all right? So be with 3 people at all times, everywhere we go. No PDA, we'll touch each other. All matters of clothing will be at my discretion and the discretion of my wife and other sponsors. And here's a very simple rule I have before she explains what it's all going to look like. If a sponsor asks you to change, they're going to ask you very nicely. They're going to say, hey, that might be inappropriate, so I'd like for you to change it to something else. Here's the response. Yes, ma'am. Or, yes, sir. And you just go change. We can make it a really big deal, but we're not, because that's not the reason we're going to this conference. It's not about showing off. It's not about what we have on, not about what we're wearing. That is such a secondary thing. I hate to even have to talk about it so much. All right? So, sweetie, do you want to give the clothing talk? All right, she's up.
Clothing is going to be kind of what we did on, well,
Last year.
Pretty much going to be what we did on Choir Store. Your shorts have got to be past fingertips and not just like, I need to shrink my shoulders so that I can make it, okay? They need to be past fingertips. No, we're not going to do tanks just so I don't have to worry about bra straps. We don't have to do any of that. And same thing, we're not going to do leggings because I don't want to be, sorry, I don't want to be the booty patrol. Make sure your rear end is covered up, right? Other than that, I mean, it's chilly in a lot of the sessions. I wear jeans to sessions almost every time because I'm a human popsicle at a freeze. Jeans and t-shirts. I'm cool with shorts or whatever, but just make sure they're long enough and they're not questionable. Just over extreme modesty is what I'm not asking to wear turtlenecks and, you know, ankle-length skirts, but just use extreme modesty. Swimsuits, we're going to go either one pieces or tankinis that are pretty close to meeting, tops and bottoms, okay? They're out there. I'm a tall person and they can be found. You might have to look a little bit. I actually saw some at Walmart today. They were cute. They're cute. There they go. They're just need a little size up. So if you have questions about clothing, text me a picture and I'll just tell you yes or no.
If you boys have questions about clothing, no.
If you're
The answer's no.
my A#1 boy thing is your drawers better not be hanging off the top of your pants.
That's right. Keep them pulled up.
Don't do it. I'll be so bad at you.
All right. All major issues come with the sponsors, and especially what that means is if there's any information coming from Magnolia, your home, to your students, I want to make sure that I'm there, especially if it's something pretty significant or important. Even on Choir Store this year, some information got to a student, and we really wanted to be there to kind of help with that. All right. There was, let's see. Oh, and this one's so important, especially for the students. We can talk to them about this. Anytime we say to meet somewhere, after every session, we will all meet up as a group to hear instructions for where we're about to go. So after every session, they need to meet at the designated area. We'll establish that at the very beginning of the week. We will always meet there. All right, so after every single session, we meet there, and I can give clear instructions on where we're going next and what we're going to do and what their options are. So anytime we're there, they need to be there. Bring a Bible to each session. After the hotel enforced curfew, you have to be in your room. Students are to shower. No tobacco, alcohol products at all on this trip. One bag, one carry-on. a great attitude. All right, just this is so simple. You can push through anything for 3 days. All right. If you're mad at somebody, if someone has done you wrong, just avoid them. All right, at all costs, and don't stir up any drama. This is a no drama zone. All right, at SOAR. We're just going to focus on the worship services, the people that we're hanging out with, your friends, building relationships, having a great time with them. Last one, there will be no pranks pulled on any other students or sponsors on any FBC youth events. All right? So there will be no pranks at SOAR. We're attending this conference to grow closer to God and each other. Pranks get in the way of that. They cause friction in groups. So they're not going to be part of it. Hope that's very clear. Here's number for David, Lindsay, and myself as contacts. Angela's number is also on the front page. Any questions? I'm sure I left something off. This is a super easy conference. We go one place, we stay in one place, and then we come home. So it's a great experience. You can't really create the environment of SOAR anywhere else besides SOAR. As far as the BMA goes, this is the largest gathering that the BMA has in any given year. Is when their students get together for SOAR.
And plus, this is our second year for Gaylord.
Over 2,000 students, usually up around 2,500 even. So this is an exciting event, and I hope our kids have a wonderful, wonderful time. And if you have any questions, you're free to ask me afterwards. If you have any questions on attire for the girls, that's Angela. All right? Anything else? Hey, thank you all for coming. I need a copy of everybody's waiver forms. If you do not have the information for insurance, and you want to go ahead and give me the form, you can text me that later, and I'll fill that number in. But I do need your signature. All right? And let me know if yours doesn't have that insurance number on it.
Did you do this or did Becca?
Huh?
Did you do this or
I did that one. That's why it doesn't look as good as the one Becca did. Oh, did you think about that? Hey, what I did was I took 2015 and I changed it to 2017. Changed a few dates. No. Not Speedos. Thanks.